Good morning, everybody.
It's all scribble.
Debbie, what time's your flight tomorrow?
I have more like that.
Oh, okay, so you can log in. Perfect. All right. So we left off yesterday. Today's Daf Ches, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got it.
Yes, we left off actually, almost halfway down, a third of the way down. We were talking about Mekadesh B'Shiroi, right? Being Mekadesh, a woman was something, was silk, but it was not a praise. It was there was known to be value there, just not how much. It was known to be more than a Sheva Pruta, just didn't know how much. So the question was, did it need to be appraised or not? So we left off around a third of the way down. Amar Rav Yosef and Chesed Aleph. And away we go. Amar Rav Yosef. Mina minallah. From where do we know this? The title of the Nebraisa. Egel zel lepidyon b'ni. This egel has for the pidyon of my son. Regarding a possessed redu pidyon ben, or talazel lepidyon b'ni, or this garment. Lo amar klum. He has not said anything. Does not work. His son is not by the way. Egel zel b'chamish salaim. He says this egel, which is worth 5 salaim, the pidyon b'ni, or taliza b'chamesh salaim pidyon b'ni, b'no padui. It does work. It is redeemed. So the Gemara says. So what's the difference? What's the situation in the case, Jack? Move over a little bit.
Okay, I'm reading.
You're out. Perfect. Yeah, you're good. Perfect. Now, hi pidyon hechidam. So how is this working? If let's say the case of where the garment or the egel was not worth 5 salaim, so kol kamine, would that work? Obviously, that doesn't work. So elalav afagav the shovel. It was worth it. The cave and the lake low, but since it wasn't a set amount, it wasn't known how much it was. It could have been worth 100 slime, or could have been worth 5 slime, or 10 slime. It wasn't known, so therefore it doesn't work. So Gemara says low. So according to this, if it was worth more, the reason why it didn't work was because they didn't know exactly how much. If you knew that it was 5, right? No, you can do. It can be more. Yeah, it can be more. Right. I mean, now we know you can do that with the coins and the net, right? The Gemara says, "Lo, really, maybe it was not even worth 5 slimes." What's the chiddush here? We're going to couple coin. The Kohen was makabot. Ki had Rav Kahana, like Rav Kahana, shakil sudra mibei pidyon ben. He took a sudra from the pidyon ben. Why was that? Even though it wasn't worth 5 slimes. Samarlei, the didi chazili chamei slime. To me, it's worth 5 slime. In other words, to him, he had to go ahead and have his head covered. He was a Rosh Hashiva. So he said to me, even though the market value is less, but to me, it's more valuable, and therefore it does work in that case. And now Rav Ashi lo amran elki goyin Rav Kahana, the Gaber Rabbu, he was a Rosh Hashiva. When Bailey Sudra Aration, he needed a Sudra upon his head. About Kuliyama, but regular people, low, that would have worked. Kiha the Marba Rav Ashi Zavin Sudra Me'eme the Rabba. Rav Ashi, he bought a Sudra from the mother of Rabba. The Rabba Mekube, which is from Kube, Shavi Asara, but it was only worth 10, but he paid 13, right? This could be like one of the first, Geniza auctions. Someone's overpaying because it was, belonged to was the Suda from the mother of Rabba. So to him, even though the value was only 10, he paid 13 for it. So you see that something which is more value to a person could be, worth more to that individual. 2 dots. Amar Rabbi Elazar, he's kachli b'mana. Actually, we're going to get to Asi's case that he mentioned yesterday. He's kachli b'mana. So he says, "Be mekadesh me with $100. The Nasam dinar gave her $1. Harei zu mekudeshes v'yashlim." So even though $1 was given, so it is mekudeshes from right now, but he has to go ahead and be mashlim and pay the other 99. My time, but what's the reason? Kevan damer la mana v'yayla dinar. Since he said 100. And he gave her a dinar, command almanas dummy. It's like he said, I will marry you on the condition I give you 100. So, in other words, we say that you're mukudeshes from now, and you just have to go ahead and fulfill the tanai. So to over here, it was a tanai that he's going to give her 100, so he has to go ahead and give her 100. The person says almanas. It starts from now, and you just have to go ahead and fulfill the condition. So meisve he's kachili b'mana. A guy says, "Marry me with $100." He's going ahead. He's counting 1, 2, 3, 4. He's counting out the 100. So one of them wants to go ahead and 86, 87, and the guy says, "You know what? I don't want to do this." Or she says, "You know what? No, I changed my mind. Even if it's up to 99, that person can go ahead and back out." So I understand. In the previous case, we said from the first dollar it worked, and then you said imashim. Over here, it doesn't work until it's all paid up. So when he says this 100, so he hasn't given her this 100. The other one was just 100 in general, almanas. Therefore, it goes back to this time. But over here, it's this 100. I didn't finish giving her this 100. So I says, well, that's the case. The seifa b'manazu. The seifa over there in that Brisa teaches this case where he says this 100. So Reisha must be b'manastam, right? So the Reisha must be b'manastam. The Katani seifa, because it says in seifa, Amar lois kachili b'manazu. If he says maybe kachili with this mana, v'nimsa mana chaser dinar, dinar shanachayches. If let's say it was only 99, or one of the dinar were not good, it was made of copper, it was not made of silver, and it does not work. So I understand. So that's the seifa. So or if it's over there, dinar rough, it's a bad dinar. Hareis megadeshes. She is still megadeshes. V'yachli can go ahead and exchange it for a good dinar. So the Reish of the Seifa, Gemara says, no, Reish of the Seifa, Damer b'manazu. Really, it's the same case, the Reish of the Seifa. It's where he says that this mana, and that's why with this mana, it can be chayzer, either one of them can be chayzer before it's completely done. And therefore, it's explaining the Reish, the Reish is really explaining the Seifa. So, right? If one of them want to go ahead and be chayzer, they can. Why? Because what is the case? That's why the Sefer comes in and says we're talking about a case of a manazu. And it's also logical to say that the Reish and Sefer are really both talking about a case of a manazu, and that's the reason why either one of them can be chayzer before it's fully given. Why? If the Reish was talking about where he says I'll give you 100, and he gives her something, and one of them can still be chayzer. It's a hashtav of manastam. In the case of manastam, where he said doesn't work, lo havi kedushin, but manazu, this mana, where he hasn't given her this mana, do you have to tell me that doesn't work? Of course it doesn't work. So the Gemara says, no. If it's that, halo ayritana, seifa leguli ratio, right? If that's the case, no, it wouldn't have had, it has the seifa in order to go ahead and tell us the ratio. Shalai toima ratio b'manazu, because maybe in the ratio where it said it doesn't work, it was only referring to a case where he says, in other words, where it's not effective right away, you have to do all 100. Maybe the ratio was talking about this mana, and that's why it doesn't work. But in the case of manastam, havi kedushin. So therefore, Tana Seifa b'manazu michlal the ratio b'manastam. Therefore, it teaches us that if the Seifa is talking about this mana, therefore the ratio is talking about a regular case of manastam. Even that, the kedushin does not work. Rashi Amar, no, when he's counting out the 100 is a completely different case. Why? The daita akule akule. Because once he's counting out, so therefore, even if it's manastam, but once he's counting out, so then she's anticipating, or therefore they're both anticipating this transaction won't be complete until the counting is done, and therefore one of them can be chayzer right before the end. So
but it's totally in her das.
Well, if he doesn't finish giving it, no, but
her das, she's anticipating the whole amount.
All right, I hear. Could be. All right, good point. So now, hi dinar shel nechoshes. This dinar of nechoshes, heichi dami. What's the case of the dinar shel nechoshes? So what does this mean? That it was a dinar of copper, not of silver. So if she saw it, then she knew about it. So she was willingly accepted it, right? So one says no, like tzricha the yavid and the yile he gave to her in the evening. It was dark. Inami shkechle beidi zuze. It was mixed up amongst the coins, and therefore she couldn't see it. And only later on, when she took the coins, only at that point that she realized, and therefore it wouldn't be good. So, but we said if it's a dinar raw, then just switch it up. She's mekudesha. So high dinar enough if it can't be used. That's like a dinar shenachayishes, which is not usable. So Papa can go the nothing idea. You could use it, but most people won't take it. It's like the the dollar that won't go in the pot machine, right? 50 times. And finally it goes in. Right? So therefore you find the right seller, you'll be able to go ahead and use that dinar shel nechayshis. That's called the dinar rav. Two dots, bottom line. Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Lo is kadshili b'mana. He says, "Be mekadesh me with $100, ve'niach lamashka." And he doesn't give her the $100. He says, "Here's my watch for now." Eina mekudeshes. She is not married there. Does not work. Why is that? So money in kan, mashkin in kan. Since there was no money given, therefore there's no collateral. The collateral is not there.
Or you have to evaluate it before.
So
if you bring
no, but he wasn't marrying her. He didn't say I'm marrying you with a watch. He said I'm marrying you with $100.
The issue that it's not a matana to her. Stored. It's like
This is a mashka.
It's a placeholder.
Right, it's right.
A placeholder, so she doesn't have
So-
anything.
Right. So Hilkach, right? Rashi says money in kan. Right. So he says Hilkach mashkan in a shavet klum. The mashkan is not is veilus shein hamashkan matana. The mashkan itself is not matana. She's just holding onto it.
So collateral doesn't hold.
The collateral is in the sum. Right. Now let's see. Esvei Rav Nachman Kichub Mashkan Mekudeshes. A person's Mekadesh over the Mashkan Mekudeshes. It's a clear kasha. So Hasan the Mashkan Medacher. Over there, we're talking about the guy lent money. The guy lent money, and therefore he was given a collateral for an actual loan. Right? He lent money for an actual loan, and therefore he's saying basically, I'm giving you my accounts receivables. You have this, and in order to secure your rights to this loan, I'm giving you the guy's collateral. Here's the guy's baseball card, right? Here's his baseball card that he's supposed to pay back $100, and you give him the card. So now I'm giving you this card. So now, since there was a loan given, this mashkan has value, and therefore, if he gives that to her, basically he's giving her the rights to go ahead and collect the loan, and therefore that case works. Rabbi Yitzchak, how do we know that the person, the lender, acquires the mashkan? Shneimar Pasuk says, it says up there, go ahead and the person take collateral, person's pajamas, his night clothes, you got to give him back. Why? So it says, be righteous and give it back. So in other words, if it wasn't the lender's, then it's not being righteous, it's the other person's. Obviously, the lender acquires it until he's paid back. So, but do be righteous and give the person back so he can go ahead and use it because he's in need. So therefore, he does require some. So over here, we see that a Baal Chov does acquire the collateral. So Bei Rav Huna Bar Avin Zavna.
So it works with somebody else's.
Somebody else because
So
that mashkan is
he
belong. But over
covers for
here, there was no loan going on, right? There was no. So therefore, when he gave her the mashkan, she didn't acquire the mashkan. It wasn't a matana, and it wasn't in lieu of collecting something else.
In other words, it was just a placeholder.
All right, and therefore it doesn't work. We say money in kan, mashkan in kan. Bnei Rav Huna Bar Avin Zavna Amsa Beprite. So the sons of Rav Huna Bar Avin, so they bought a certain maidservant for a certain amount of money, and Lo Yahavi B'Dayu, they didn't have the cash on hand. They negotiated a deal. They didn't have the cash on hand, and Uzvei Nascha, they gave her like a thing of silver, Chaticha Shel Kesef, Rashi says, right? And so to hold on, in other words, okay, we're going to come back and give you the cash, but right now hold on to this block of silver. The site, in the end, then the price of the maidservant went up, and I guess the seller didn't want it. Also, the commander of Rami came for Rami. Who he said, Pritein Khan, Nascha Khan, right? If they didn't give you money, then this silver, them giving this block of silver, is not considered to be a part of the acquisition. And therefore, you can certainly be chayzer and not sell them this maidservant. Tan Rabbanan, Iskachli b'mana be mekadesh me with this $100. Natalasa, she took it, smile at him, a romantic moment. Zerkasa liyam alor, and she took it and threw it in the sea, or threw it in the fire, or anything that basically would destroy this $100 bill. Eina mikudeshes. She is not married, right? So he handed it to her. She took it from him and threw it in the fire. So Gemara says, Mashafir, ha, shedisino kame. So but she took it and threw it on the ground. Havi kedushin. Now you're telling me only case where it gets destroyed, say Mekadesh. It's mashma that if it doesn't get destroyed, she throws it on the ground. He hands it to her. Hare Mekadesh li. Right? The manazu. She takes the 100, throws it on the ground. It would be Havi kedushin. Hakamerle shakalabina. Right? It's like she's saying, I don't want it. Right? So I don't understand. She throws it, in front of him on the ground. It's like she's in protest. So whereas no, let me boycott. Let me come. Not only this, let me boycott. This is kedushin. Not only in the case if she throws it down on the ground. Certainly that's not kedushin. That's a rejection. I don't want your $100. Throws it on the ground. But if she throws the head in the sea or in a fire, maybe you say now if she goes ahead and destroys it, well now she has to pay back $100. So if she has to pay him back $100, it's like she acquired it, right? So since she acquired it, maybe you'd say that she's mekadesh herself, and so why should she do it? She's mekadesh herself, right? And she's I'm going to go ahead and check and see his temperament. I'm going to see what happens if I take the $100. I'm going to use the credit card down the road. Yeah, so I'm going to take his $100 and go to the fire. I'll see what kind of reaction he has. And maybe she was makabel to kedushin, and that's why she did it to test him. So kamash v'lan, no, this is considered to be a rejection, and therefore either case whether she chose it to be destroyed or certainly if she throws it, it's not destroyed. She just throws it on the ground. It's her saying, I do not want to be mekudeshes to you. Tanarabban is kachli b'mana. So she says, "Taneim la'abel avicha, give it to my father, or give it to your father." Eina mekudeshes. She's not married. This is not her accepting it. I don't want your $100. Give it to your father. Give it to my father. Eina mekudeshes. But if she says almanas she kablim li, but if she says on the condition that your father is makabla for me or my father is makabla for me, then mekudeshes. So Tana Abel Ladia Kachederation. So it says her father. In order to teach the ratio, that even she says, give it to my father, that's not her saying, give it to my father, he's holding on to my money. That's a rejection. I don't want it. And Tana Vicha, and then also it says, your father, give it to your father if he accepts it. The teacher in the Sefer, that even though it's not her father, it's his father. If her father or the future father-in-law wants to be Makabbalah, then she's Mikudeshes. He's Kashli B'mana, in a very similar case, he's Kashli B'mana, he says, be Mekadesh me with this 100. And she says, Taneim Leplaiti, give it to Bob. In Mekudeshes, she's not married, but she says Almanashi Kablin Li. But she says on the condition that Bob is Mekabelit for me, then Mekudeshes, then it does work.
Does Bob have to know about it beforehand?
No, but once he gets it in this case, so if he's Mekabelit, so the only case where it works is where he's Mekabelit on her behalf.
Right. So if he doesn't Mekabelit on our behalf,
Then it doesn't work. But if he's Mekabelit, then Mekudeshes. But in the first case, we just give it to Bob. And Gab says, okay, I'll take it. That doesn't work. I'll take it for her. Doesn't work because she didn't say that he should be makabel for me. Utsricha, we need both cases, both of the fathers and also of the stranger. If it was just the case of my father, your father, that case, when she says on the condition that they're makabel, have a kedushin, maybe only that case. When they're mekablet, the samchadaita life, because she's dependent on her father-in-law, her future father. So they'll be my shliach. Aval ploni, but regular case, like animal sort of getting to this point. Low, maybe I would say in that case it wouldn't work because if he's mekabel or not, like what's the shaykhs? If we just had a stranger, we say haka hu deka amra taneim leploni. If she just said give it to Bob, that certainly doesn't work. Lavi kedushin, but because she has no relationship with him. Right, to give him as matana. But over here, when she says, "Okay, I'm going to be makabel," maybe there's a part to say this. I'm going to be makabel, and I'm going to give it to my father as a gift, or my father wants a gift. Maybe she's saying, "Okay, I'm makabel the $100, and we're mukudeshes. Now go ahead and give a gift to your father or to my father." Kamash Malon, Tzricha, to teach us that even in that case, if she just says, "Give it to your father, give it to my father," she's Eino Mikudeshes. He says because she does $100, and she says today Al Gabi sell it. Put it on the rock. Ain't a mekudesh. It's like a rejection. I don't want it. However,
Don't marry a woman.
right? But if it was her rock, then mekudeshes. It does work. So what about if they both on the rock together? So take the Gemara does not give whether it's hers or his, or the first take. His kachli the kikar. He says, "What do you mikdash me with this loaf of bread, which is worth a pruta?" So Tanila Kalev, she says, "Give it to the dog." Eina mikudeshes. Then she's not mikudeshes. Vim haya Kalev shalom. But if it was her dog, then mikudeshes. Then she's mikabla. So, of Mari, what about Kalev? Right. Well, it's her. She's feeding her animal. It's her property.
She's getting.
Right, she's getting it.
She's gotta feed the dog.
So Caleb Rasachara, if there's a dog chasing her, Mahu, and he says as he's running with her. He says, "Will you be Mekadesh me while they're running with the dog with his bread?" So, and she says, "Give it to the dog." So do we say do we say that this hana, this benefit of her being saved by him, by this loaf of bread, by feeding this dog chasing her to bite her, right? She's mikudeshes with that hana. Maybe she says, you're obligated to go ahead and help a Jew in need. So therefore, give it to the dog. I'm not mikudeshes to you. Do your responsibility as a Jew. Take them. The one does not give teretz. And one final case, Kashli Bekikar, Megashli this loaf, and Tani La'ani, give it to the poor person. All right, give it to this poor person. So she's not Mikudeshes. Now, Filu Anachasama Kalamai. What about the poor person who always depends on her? So we say, even that case doesn't work. My timer. Amirle, she's like, just like I'm obligated to feed the poor, so too are you. So when I tell you to feed the poor, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with your obligation to feed the poor, and therefore she's Ein Mekudeshes. We will stop here. Like to wish a Tzeiss Shalom, Zevi.